Okay guys, back for day 3. Forgive the wind noise if it does, if you can't hear it on the camera. The engine is completely in, everything's bolted up. All the axles are installed, all the suspension components. I am working on, I just pulled out the AC harness that was still in here, just in terms of cleaning it up. I'm going to clean up the HID wiring. I'm going to probably remove those and put my LEDs from my track car. And we'll work on little things today. I'm going to swap out my headlight, probably put that screen in front of the radiator. I'm not starting it yet because I'm going to pick up oil and also some transmission fluid because I want to get those replaced before the start of the season. So let me get back to work and I'll give you a small update in a moment. Another small thing that I'm working on today is swapping over my oil pressure gauge. Now, when I set this up, it's kind of neat. I used one of the engine harness plugs. I just depinned it. And I did that so when I add other gauges to this panel in the future, I can just kind of plug them in and pull the wires out there, and it makes it easy for me to disconnect it if I ever need to. That was my sole reason for doing that a couple years ago, and actually came in handy for once. And I'm going to swap over this different center console that I had in my track car. And then I took the stereo out so I could give that back to Gabe. And I'm not using her stereo anyways, we're using the block off plate with the gauges. So I'm going to finish that up very quickly. If you're curious about my block off plate, it's just a piece of ABS plastic. One of my really good friends, his name's Brian, used to work at Best Buy. And in the car stereo department, they had this in sheets. So I hit him up one day and he cut it for me. We just used a couple little metal spacers that he had that pulls it forward so it sits flush against the panel. And then we drilled a hole for the appropriate size gauge and it fits perfect. One thing that really sucks is that this dash is kind of jacked up. Like, it's broken back in here, the glove box doesn't line up perfectly, it's cracked here. I think someone had tried to steal the stereo long before I got the car. There's some cracks here, there's a crack there. So unfortunately the panel, it's not sitting all the way down, it's a little off. But I just want to show you the block off panel with the gauges on there. And eventually I'm going to probably swap the dashboard. I have a CRX dash, probably going to get that put in. But I want to try cleaning it up and painting it, make it look a little bit nicer before I put it in this car. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. It's a little too windy and a little too cold out here. I don't want to be out here today. I'm just going to wait till tomorrow, see if it clears up a little bit sunnier, a little bit warmer, and see if I can get that rear suspension finished up on this car. Alright guys, we're out here, started day 4, and obviously the weather's much nicer, nice clear blue skies. I think it's supposed to even get up to 70 degrees today, so that's going to be really nice. And I'm going to get to work on the rear suspension, swap over the trailing arms, upper camber arms of course. I'm going to do my exhaust today, and anything else that's related to the rear end of the car. I should be able to get them swapped from one to the other. It's really not a difficult task swapping these because these cars are both rear disc brake, and I'm just going to swap the trailing arm assemblies from each side. So I don't have to do the get under the car and do the e-brake cables, which I think is the hardest part, getting underneath there. Everything else is just all the bolts holding everything together. So I'm going to get started on that, and I'll give you an update shortly. Okay, I got the first rear trailing arm off. That only took me about 10 minutes to get removed. Really nice. Should be a really simple process today of getting all of these swapped over. And it's nice because they both have rear discs, so they both have the e-brake cables. All I had to do was remove it from the trailing arm itself. And then the stainless brake lines also. Just going to remove them and then swap the arms over. Next I'm going to get the camber arm, coilovers, and my rear sway bar removed. Oh, also lower control arms, of course. And we're just going to get this car completely disassembled and then work on the SI, and then of course do the reassembly. Got everything off, including the muffler. Now it's time to move over to the white SI. Alright, here's my carnage. Got everything off both cars. Now I need to bust my butt and get everything put back together. I want to see if I can get this car started today. Got some oil and transmission fluid for it, so it's ready. And for any new subscribers, if you're curious on the exhaust I have, it's just a eBay 2.5-inch piping, and I put on this little mini muffler. So when I get that on, I'll get a little bit better shot of it, and I'll also link some older videos of it in the upper right corner. Alright guys, we got the suspension completely swapped over. The Black Dragon is now on all fours. I gotta say thanks to Manny. He's a subscriber that's become a cool friend. Goes by the Caveman on Instagram. He hooked me up with the Steelies, that way I have something to roll around on this car. I didn't want to leave my CRX stocks on it, and that way in case I do sell it, I'll have some wheels to go with it. But we got this car lifted. We're gonna add some brake fluid. I'm gonna bleed all the brakes, and then next we can do the transmission fluid, oil, and let's see if we can get it started. Alright, the brakes are bled, reservoir's full, everything went as planned there. Now draining the motor oil. And I like to support local, so we're going to give some, this is a Kendall liquid titanium oil. The guys at E98, Paso Race Fuel, picked this up from George the other day, and we're going to give it a shot. We're also going to use 2 quarts in the transmission, as I like to use regular motor oil in the transmission as well. So let's get these put in, and let's get this puppy on the ground and get it started. Alright guys, we got it finished up. All the fluids are filled. I got the ECU swapped over. Let's start it up, make sure there's no leaks anywhere. Everything seems to be okay. I was checking the direction of my fan. The reason I do that is because, see how I have it wired up? This was plugged in because I used to have the fan in front of the radiator, but I moved it to the back, so I just wanted to make sure it was blowing in the right direction. Took it for a drive around the block. It felt perfectly fine. It felt just like my track car, but obviously in the new shell. And it's idling where it should also. No check engine lights. Of course, we're gonna have to get it aligned next. But other than that, we are done for day 4, guys. Day 5, I'm gonna get to my headlight and any small things here and there. I'm gonna adjust the suspension because it's really low in the back. I'm just gonna set it at an even height so when I get the car aligned, I can make sure it's where it needs to be. I'm gonna swap over my bucket seat and then pull out these Integra Type R seats. I'll probably put even my SI passenger seat into the side as well because I like that better. And then along the way, we'll get that dash swapped out, but I'll keep you updated on a day 5/6 in the next video.